Hello everyone, I am Harsh and here is the post-contest discussion for Codechef Starters contest. So before starting with the discussion, let me tell you all that we have TLE Eliminators course live. We have divided our courses into 4 levels, 1, 2, 3 and 4 according to what difficulty level of questions you can actually solve right now. So like you can see in level 1, we have C++ basics and maths for CP, time and space, searching and sorting. Level 2 has recursion, number theory. 3 has advanced binary search, combinatorics, advanced number theory. Level 4 has all the necessary topics for being for upgrading yourself from expert to candidate master. So we have everything covered. So if you would like, then you can join this. So saying that, let me start with the discussion for today. So today we are going to discuss the first four problems from Div 2 Codechef contest. And here is the first problem for the same. So the first problem was swap and flip. So given a binary string S of length n, check if you can transform it to another binary string T, which is also of length n, by using either of the following operations as many times as needed. That is, what you can do is you can pick any I comma j such that I is lesser than j, and you can swap these si and sj. Else, what you can do, you can pick this I comma j, flip both si and sj. Here, flipping x means converting it to 1 minus x. So if you have, let's suppose, x as 0, so flipping means it will be turned to 1. If you have x as 1, then flipping means that it will turn to 0. So 1 will turn to 0, 0 will turn to 1. So you are given two strings, two binary strings, and you want to check whether by applying these two operations as many times as you want, can you convert this string S into string T? And constraints, if you see the length of the string is 100, the number of test cases is also 100. So anything around n square would definitely work for this, right? So if it is possible, we have to output yes, else we have to output no. So let's understand this question first. Yeah. So basically, you have been given that, let's suppose you are given two binary string. Let's suppose S is 0, 1, 0, 0. And string T is 1, 0, 0, 0. You want to check that can you convert this string S to this particular string T? What are the operations you can perform? The operations are that you can choose two indices. Let's suppose you choose these two indices I and j. And let's suppose these indices have values 0 and 1. Now, what the operations that you can perform is either you can swap these two numbers. So at ith index now you would have 1 and at jth index you would have 0. Else the other option is that you can flip the bits at that particular indices. So once you do that, so again at ith index you would have 1 and at jth index you would have 0. So you can perform any of the two operations and you want to make this S exactly equal to T. Is the problem statement clear to everyone? Anyone having doubt in the problem statement? Clear? Cool. Now tell me one thing. If I say you that I have two indices I and j, at one of the index I have the value 0 and at next index I have the value 0. Would you ever perform swap operation in these two indices? Would you ever do that? If you would look, we have two operations, right? We have one swap operation and the other is flip operation. These are the two operations that we have. So if I have two indices that have the same value, would you ever perform swap operation between them? Tell me. No? Do every one of you agree? Similarly, if I tell you that I have two indices and I have different values present at the two indices, can you perform swap operation or will you perform swap operations in these two indices? Yes, we can, right? Now tell me, if in these two indices I perform swap operation, then do you all agree that at ith index I would have 1 at the end and at jth index I would have 0? Do you all agree? Yes. What was the other operation that we had? The other operation that we had was flip operation. If I perform flip operation in these two indices, do you all agree that at I8 index, I would again get 1 and at J8 index, I would get 0? Do you all agree with me? So can I say that even if I don't have this swap operation, it would not affect my answer. Even if I don't use this swap operation even once, the answer will not be affected. Do you all agree? Anyone having doubt in this? So basically, we can say we will we will not use any swap operations. So it is clear till now, right? Anyone having any doubt till now? Any doubt till now, guys? No, great. So now we know that we will only be choosing two indices, any two indices. We will perform the flip operation and we will do it as many times as we want. Okay. So now let's suppose I have string s as 0100 and string t as 1000. So can you guys figure out that at which indices I have the problem? Do you guys agree that at this particular index, the characters corresponding to this particular index in string S and string T does not match? Do you all agree? Similarly, at this particular index as well, the characters do not match. But at these two indices, the characters do match. Do you all agree with me in this point? If yes, can I say that if I choose this index as I and this index as j and perform the flip operation, then this will turn to 1, this will turn to 0, and the string s will become exactly equal to string t. Yes. So can I say that if number of indices that are having the problem is even, then can I say that I can always turn S to T? Because if let's suppose this indices have the problem, I can always choose these two indices first, then these two indices first, then these two indices first, and I can always turn S to T. But if I have odd number of indices that are having the problem, so let's suppose these indices have the problem for now, then I can never turn S to T, because let's suppose I choose these two indices first, then this will become corrected. Then I choose these two indices, they will become corrected. Now I have in the entire string S only the one index that has the problem. So if I use any other index to correct this particular index, then the index that I used afterwards will now have the problem, and the step will just get on continuing infinite number of times. So like for an example, let's suppose string s is 010 and string t is 000, then you can just notice I have only one index that has the problem right now, and I can't convert string s to string t by any means. Because if I just try to convert s to t, I have to choose one of the index as this index, and I have to choose one other index as well. So for let's suppose I choose this particular index, then this will become corrected. Okay, got it. But this will become wrong now. And hence, every time you will have one index that is not correct and whose characters does not match in S and T. And hence, we can never convert string S to string T if we have odd number of indices that are having the problem. Is the logic clear? Yes. Great. So let's jump on to the code quickly. So this is the code. So first of all, we took n as input, that is the size of two strings. Then we took two strings as input. Then we initialized our count to 0. So this count will basically store the number of indices that are having the problem. Then we just iterated over all the indexes. And if the characters for that particular index does not match in S and T, we simply incremented our count. So if at the end count is odd, then we are printing no, else we are printing yes. Is the code clear? Yes? Any doubt, guys? Anyone? Any doubt? Clear? Great. So let's jump on to the next one. Okay. Okay. So the next question is Halloween array. Let's go through the problem statement. There is an array of n integers and a range L to R. Okay, what was that? So and one basically means to check whether the number is odd or not. Okay. So if let's suppose I am doing a and 1. So this basically returns true if a is odd. The other method that you can do is you can check if a modulo 2 is equals 1. If this is the case, then you can run that loop. So this is basically a method to check whether the value a is odd or not. Okay, cool. Great. So this is the next question for today. So you have an array of n integers and a range L to R. You calculate a function f of a, which is nothing but product of ai XOR aj for every I lesser than j, I greater than equals to 1 and j lesser than equals to n. So informally, basically what you are doing, you are calculating the product of all pairwise XORs of the array A. If the resulting value lies between L and R, both inclusive, we call such an array a Halloween array. Given an array, you need to determine if it is a Halloween array or not. You need to simply print yes or no. Okay. So let's understand the question first. Seeing this question gives some, you will not be able to approach this question if you don't know the concept of actually bit manipulation. But I would try my best to help you guys out. Okay. So, okay, first of all, let's understand the question. So you are given an array A, which is containing n numbers. So A1, A2 up till AN. And you are given a range L to R. Okay. What you're doing is, let's suppose for an example, I take A as A1, A2, and A3. I take only 3 numbers in A. So what you're doing is, you are seeing all the possible pairs that can be formed and you are multiplying their XOR values. So what are the possible pairs in this 3 numbers array? One possible pair is A1, A2. So I just calculate XOR between A1 and A2. The other possible pair is A1 and A3. Then I calculate XOR between them. And third possible pair is A2 and A3. So I calculate XOR between them. So what they are doing is they are calculating the product of all the XOR values of all possible pairs. And they are calling it as a function of A. Now what they are saying is if this value is lesser than equals to R and greater than equals to L, then give me yes, else give me no. Is the problem statement clear? Is the problem statement clear, guys? Anyone having any doubt in the problem statement? Yes? Great. Okay. So how we can actually solve this? So I would be asking 1 or 2 questions. Just answer me those questions. Okay. If I tell you that, let's suppose A1, tell me this thing. What is the value of A1 XOR A1? Or simply not name this as A1. Tell me the value of A XOR A. Do every one of you agree that it will be 0? If anyone don't know bit manipulation or XOR operations, I would recommend first seeing the XOR operation and then you can clearly understand this. This is a very basic property of XOR that if we do XOR of 2 identical numbers, then it will result to 0. Okay. Tell me one more thing. If I say you that I have two numbers x and y. For now, let's suppose I have only x, I don't have this y. And I tell you that the result of this x or y is equal to k. Then can you guys tell me what are the number of numbers that I can place in that box? Do you all get the question? The question is that I have told you that I have one number x. I am doing the XOR of this number with some unknown number, and the result I am getting is k. So tell me how many numbers I can put over here. How many numbers I can put over here? I am not asking you what number, but I am telling me how many numbers. So the answer to this question will be simply 1. I can put only one number over there, and that particular number is x XOR k. Because I assume that you all know the property that if XOR y is equal to k, then you can definitely write this down as well. XOR k is equal to y, and you can also write as y XOR k is equal to x. You can anytime bring this k over here and send any of these variables x and y towards the right. So if you understand this, then you also should understand this, that there is only one possible number, or if I say informally, there is only a unique number that can be placed in this particular box. What do you want to say, Harsh, there? Do you all guys get this point that there is only one possible number that can be placed in that box? What is the proof? You can anytime just try out with some examples and you will get the proof for this. But this is a very basic property of XOR operations. Like, for now, if you don't know this property, you can assume for this. Okay, cool. So if these 2 points are clear, now let's jump on to the question again. So just tell me one thing. If I tell you that I have some numbers in the array, okay, I have some numbers, and there is at least one number that is repeated, then can you all tell me what will be the value of f of a? Do all of you agree that it will be 0, or anyone is having any doubt in that? That the value of f of a will be 0. And the reason is because, see, you are doing XOR operation between all possible pairs. So there will be a pair of two identical numbers as well if this particular number a1 is repeated again. So if let's suppose a5 is equal to a1. So when I calculate this, so this is nothing but I am doing a1 XOR a1 only because these two numbers are same. So I will get the result as 0. And since I am doing the product of all possible XORs, hence the product will turn down to 0. So do you all guys agree that if at least one of the numbers is repeated, then the value of f of a will always be 0? If yes, then can I say that if any of the number is repeated, then the value of LNR, this range, should include 0 for the answer to be yes? And if it does not include 0, then my answer will simply be no. You all guys will get this, that why I am talking of the case of duplicate numbers. Once I explain the solution, you all guys will get that, okay, what was actually the significance, why we actually first of all dealt with the case of repeated numbers. Devansh, it will be clear once we go ahead with the solution. There is a reason why I am dealing with the case of repeated numbers first. Okay, there is a reason. You all will get it once I go on with the solution. Is this point clear till now that if any of the number is repeated, my value of f of a will always be 0? You are doing continuous OR. What do you mean by that, Anil? We are not doing continuous OR. We are selecting all the possible pairs, doing XOR and multiplying all the values. So I think you need to get to the question first. Okay? Cool. So if it is clear till now we are only left with the case of if all the numbers in the array are unique. So now we will deal with the case that if all numbers in the array are unique. And now if I tell you, like, let's suppose I have only, let's suppose I have the numbers A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, A6, A7. Okay. Now, if let's suppose I tell you, I know that now the XOR value 0 is never possible, right? Then tell me what is the minimum XOR value possible? If XOR value 0 is not possible, then tell me the minimum XOR value possible. 1. Do every one of you agree with me in this? That the minimum XOR value possible is 1. Let's suppose when I am doing XOR of A1 with all of these numbers, I got how 1? If 0 is not possible, then the minimum positive number is 1, right, Prajwal? I am not saying that you will always get 1, but I am saying that what is the best possible scenario? The best possible scenario is that you get a 1, right? I'm not telling that you will always get a 1. I'm just talking of the best possible scenario, right? It makes sense. So the best possible scenario is that you get a 1. So let's suppose when I was doing XOR of A1 with all the possible numbers, I have 6 numbers remaining. When I was doing XOR of A1 with all the possible numbers, I got A1 XOR A2 as equal to 1. Let's suppose I got this. Okay. Now, can you guys confirm that if I do XOR of A1 with any of the remaining numbers, will I ever get 1? Just repeating the question. If I do XOR of A1 with any of the remaining numbers, that is A3, A4, A5, A6, A7, will I ever get 1? And the reason is that since I know that all of these numbers are unique, so now what I am telling, I am doing A1, XOR of A1 with some unknown number and the result is 1. So I know only one possible number, only one number is possible that can be put in the box. So if that particular number is A2, then all of these numbers will never give 1 as result when I do its XOR with A1. Anyone having any doubt in this? Repeat. What I told is that if I do XOR of, let's suppose, A1 with all the possible numbers now, and let's suppose with A2, I got the result as 1. So my question was, is it possible that any one of these values like A1 XOR A3 or A1 XOR A4 or A1 XOR A5 or XOR of A1 with any of the remaining numbers, is it possible that I will ever get 1? Is it possible? It will not be possible because I know that if I do XOR of A1 with any of the number, let's suppose, and I get a result as 1, then there is a unique number that can be placed in this question mark. So if let's suppose that unique number is A2, and since I know that all of these numbers are distinct, so hence I can say that XOR of A1 with any of these numbers will never give 1 if it is giving 1 when doing XOR with A2. Is it clear, guys? So saying that, can I say that, okay, if 1 is not possible, then tell me what's the minimum value possible? 0 is not possible, 1 is not possible. Then say me what's the minimum value possible? Do every one of you agree that the minimum value possible is 2? And see, if I let's suppose I am getting 2, okay? let's suppose I am getting 2. So I will get distinct. If I'm getting 2, then in the other number I will get 3. In the other number I will get 4. But let's suppose I assume that for all the numbers I am getting 2. Yes, I know it is not possible. Then just for assuming purpose. Okay. Just for showing the calculation and showing the how I am calculating the answer. Just for calculation purpose, let's assume that for all the numbers, let's assume the XOR value as 2. We know that it will be greater than 2 for some numbers, but okay, let's assume 2. So do you all agree for A1, when I form pairs with A3, A4, A5, A6, A7, so let's suppose I got 2 as my XOR value. So I will multiply 2 5 times over here. Right? I will multiply 2 5 times over here. Similarly for A2, when I form this, when I do the XOR values, so with A1, it will, I have already calculated. So I will do with A3, A4, A5, A6, A7. So again, I will get 5 2s. Then for A3, when I do with A4, A5, A6, A7, let's suppose one of the values turned out to be 1, but all the remaining values can be 2. So again, I will do it with 2. What I'm telling Devansh is, let's suppose with A2, the XOR value turned out to be 1. So for all the remaining values, it can't be 1. So it can be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or any number. So let's assume since all these numbers are greater than 2, so let's assume them 2 only. Because if we are multiplying this, so the result will only be lesser, not greater, right? So let's assume 2. So let's suppose with A1, when I do XOR with A3, A4, A5, A6, A7, let's assume the number to be 2. Now, since we are multiplying all these XOR operations, so I will multiply all these 2's. Agree? Similarly, for A2, when I form pair with A3, A4, A5, A6, A7, I will multiply all these 2's. Because I know that they can't be 1. And I know all of them can't be 2 as well. Only one can be 2 in the best possible scenario. But I have just listened on my answer. If this satisfies, then the other will also satisfy. So do you guys agree that if I multiply 2 even 30 times as well, I will get the result as 2 power 30? Do you guys agree? Now just see the constraint. The constraint says that you want an answer to be between L and R, and it has given you that R is lesser than equals to 2 power 30, if I am not wrong. So if in any case, if your answer exceeds 2 power 30, you can simply print out no. And you know that when I took an array of size 7, yeah, 10 power 9 is equivalent to 2 power 30. You can say that. It is around 2 power 30 only. So you can just see when I took an array of size 7 as well, how many possible 2's I was multiplying. If you just continue this, you will just notice how many possible 2's I was multiplying. So what I did was, I just took a safe case. I took that, okay, if the value of n is equal to 10, I will simply run a brute force solution. What is brute force solution? Go over all the pairs, multiply them, and check whether it is between L and R or not. If this was not the case, what I did, I know that if there is no duplicate, the answer can never be lesser than equal to L. The answer can never be lesser than equals to R. It will always be greater than R. So in that case, I always printed no. And if duplicate, then that condition is handled separately, that the value of that we discussed already, that L and R range should include 0. And this is how actually we can solve this question. Is it understood, guys? Any doubt? Anyone? Any doubt? Like if you don't know XOR property, I helped you all with this thing that if you know these two properties, if you understand these two things, then the question should be clear. So you should like assume this for now, until and unless you learn bit manipulation. Just assume this for now, and after assuming, you can solve this question. The intuition was this only, like the values you were getting was 1, and only one possible with only one possible value you can get a 1, and for all the remaining values you will get at least 2, and the number of pairs was exceeding 30 in even if the array size is 8, 7, or 8 as well. So the clever case was that you can always handle the case with like some smaller n, and for larger n, you can always say no. Yeah, you can say with 8 as well, if I'm not wrong. I haven't checked, I haven't counted the pairs, but I know that for 8 as well, it will work. Like the number of pairs will definitely exceed 30 that have the value at least 2. Yeah, if the size of the array is greater than 8, we can say no if there is no duplicate. Okay. So if there is a duplicate, we will handle that condition. If there is no duplicate, we don't need to handle that condition. So let's jump onto the code now. For each term of array, there may be one other such that XOR of them is 1 or just one pair in the array. For each term of array, there can be one other such that XOR of them is 1. Aryan. Okay, cool. Just a minute. Okay. So let's see the code now. So the code is pretty much the same that we already discussed. So first of all, what I am doing is I am taking the size of the array as input, then ln r as input, then the vector v as input. Then I initialized my flag value to false. So flag will basically tell me that whether if any value is repeated in the array or not. So there can be multiple methods via which you can check that whether a duplicate element exists or not. So it completely depends on you. What I did was I constructed a map. I just traversed over the vector, increased the frequency of the particular number, and can you remove this otherwise if possible? Okay, just a minute, guys. So is the screen visible to everyone? No problem there. Is the screen visible? Yeah. So I constructed a map. I increase the frequency of a particular number. And if the frequency at any point of time becomes 2, I am simply marking this flag as true. So this flag equals to true means that I have a duplicate number. So you can just remove this short all v part. I was just I wrote this in the content, but it is not needed. So if I just took a safe case of n less than equals to 10. So if this is the case, I initialized my answer to 1, first of all. And first of all, I am dealing with the duplicate elements. So if the value of flag is true, this means I have a duplicate element. Then if the value of L is 0, then only I am printing yes, because L, comma R should include 0. And for that to include 0, the value of L should be 0, right? So if L is 0, I am printing yes, else I am printing no. And I am returning just I am returning after handling the duplicate cases. If there is no duplicate, then I am just going over a brute force solution. I am just iterating over all the possible pairs. And if the answer is greater than, like answer is basically the product I have got till now. So I have initialized it to 1. So if answer is at any point of time greater than R divided by V of I or V of J. So why I am doing this? Just to handle the overflow. Just for handling the overflow, I am just calculating like this. So what we actually want to do? We actually want to multiply answer with. So we actually want to multiply answer with V of I XOR V of J, right? We want to multiply answer with this. And this value should be lesser than equals to R. So I'm just checking that if answer is lesser than R by V of I XOR V of J. Just to handle the overflow condition, I've just put this V of I XOR V of J in the right hand side. Okay. So yeah. So if answer is greater than R by this, R is basically the range L to R that was given to you. So if answer already exceeds this, then we can simply print out no and return. Else to our answer, we are multiplying this Vi XOR Vj. Once we are done with this, so just checking the condition that if answer lies between L and R, then we are printing yes, else we are printing no. And we are simply returning. Else, if we have handled this n less than equals to 10 condition, then we again check if duplicate exists. Then if L is 0, then C out yes, L C out no. And if duplicate does not exist and the value of n is also greater than 10, then we are pretty much sure that answer will always be no. So we are printing no. I did brute force no, in this we are not actually brute forcing for all n's. We are brute forcing only if n is less than equals to 10. So if n is less than equals to 10, then the brute force will give you 10 into 10, that is 100, right? So that would never give you TL. I am not brute forcing over all the possible. Yeah, for 11, what I am doing, if there is a duplicate, then I have handled that separately, else the answer will always be no. This is what we discussed, Devank. I think you have to watch the video again. This is something that we discussed in our entire discussion. Okay. So is the code clear for everyone? This code will be shared in YouTube description when the video will be uploaded. So you can take from there. Okay. So let's jump on to the next question. Yes, Prajwal. Okay. So the question is construct permutation, and what I have done for this, I don't have any proof as of now, but I can always tell you that what was the thinking and how I actually came down to my solution. Okay. So let's go to the solution. The problem statement is not tough to understand. You are given an integer n. You need to construct a permutation p is equal to p1, p2, pn such that there does not exist any I comma j such that pi plus 1 up till pj modulo n plus 1 is equal to 0. Informally, if you consider any subarray, just sum of the subarray, so the sum should not be divisible by n plus 1. If it is, you have to print -1. If it is not, like if it is possible to create a permutation, then you have to print that permutation. So let's understand the question first. Okay. So the question is that you want to build a permutation of n numbers. Do you all understand what do we mean by permutation? Permutation of n numbers means that you have to construct an array of size n such that every number from 1 to n occur once. Occur exactly once. So is it clear what do we actually mean by permutation of n numbers? Now the question is that you have to build a permutation of n numbers such that if you consider any subarray and sum of the elements of subarray, then that particular sum should not be divisible by n plus 1. That is, if let's suppose I have A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, A6, let's suppose 6 numbers, and I consider these as my subarray, then this particular sum A2 plus A3 plus A4 plus A5, when divided by n plus 1, should give some non-zero remainder. Is the problem statement clear, guys? Clear? Yes? Okay. How we can do this? So whenever these type of questions come that you want to build a permutation, then like you want to check some conditions, something like that. So there is a very basic method that you should follow. You should first of all see that is there first of all you should think that how you can actually solve this. But if you're not getting anything, you can simply divide your answer into two cases. If the value of n is even or if the value of n is odd. Like in most cases, this works, but even there are several cases that can be possible as well, that whether n is divisible by 3, or if n modulo 3 gives you 1, n modulo 3 gives you 2, then you should always try to divide your solution into cases like this. So what I did with this solution was I divided it into two cases. if the value of n is even or if the value of n is odd. Now, first of all, I dealt with the n equals to even case. If the value of n is even and I constructed some permutation, can you guys tell me, if I take the entire array as my subarray, what will be the sum of elements? If I take my entire array as my subarray, what will be the sum of elements? Do every one of you agree that it will be n multiplied by n plus 1 divided by 2? Now, since the value n is even, do you guys agree that this number will be divisible by n plus 1? Since when we divide it with 2, the 2 from n will get cancelled and this particular number, leftover number, will be divisible by n plus 1. No, in permutation, we can't take 0. Like it will be mentioned, but as of now, you can't take 0. You have to take numbers from 1 to n. If it explicitly mentions that you want to consider permutation from 0 to n minus 1, then you can consider that. But a basic permutation term means that you want to take numbers from 1 to n. So is it clear that if the value of n is even, and if we take the entire array as my subarray, the sum will be divisible by n plus 1? Is it clear for everyone? Any doubt, guys, in this? So can I say that for the value n equals to even, my answer will always be minus 1? Is this point clear to everyone? That for n equals to even, the value will always be minus 1. Great. What for n equals to odd? So you know that you want to take all the unique numbers, right? So if I just tell something like this, that let's suppose you have numbers a1, a2, a3, a4, a5. You are building these numbers. Let me consider the prefix sum. If I tell you that when I was considering the prefix sum till a2, I let's suppose got some number x, and when I consider the prefix sum till a4, I got number y. And x modulo n plus 1 gave me some z, and y modulo n plus 1 also gives me z. If this particular case occurs, can you guys say that if I take this as my subarray, then the sum of elements is divisible by n plus 1? Just to repeat what I told, if I take the prefix sum till second index, let's suppose I got sum as x. I took prefix sum till fourth index, I got, let's suppose, sum as y. When both of them were divided by n plus 1, I got the same remainder. So can I say, when I will take this as my subarray and I will sum up the elements and calculate the modulo of this with n plus 1, I will always get 0. Anyone having any doubt in this? Anyone having any doubt in this? So do you guys agree? Do you guys agree that if I have n numbers, a1, a2, a3, a4, a5, let's suppose for now let's suppose it is 5. Let's suppose I have n numbers, then all these prefix sums should be unique. All prefix sums modulo n plus 1 should be unique. Right? And I know that these prefix sums modulo n plus 1 can't be 0 as well. Right? It can't be 0. So what are the possible options I have? That all prefix sums modulo n plus 1 can be 1, 2, 3 up till n. 1 to n, right? So keeping this thing in mind is something that I built a solution for this. So building a solution was completely a hit and try method, but this was the thinking that I thought of before going to the solution. So building the solution was completely a hit and trial method. You have to follow, you have to see that what is actually working for this, and then you can actually build up with the solution. So let me just show you all the code that how actually I built a solution for this. So what I did was, I first of all took the value n as input. If the value of n is odd, then I did something. Else I simply printed -1. What for n equals to odd? For n equals to odd, what I am doing is, I am just initializing my I to 1 and j to n-1. And I am printing it something like this. I and then j, incrementing my I and decrementing my j. So if I just take an example, let's suppose the value of n is equal to 7. So what I am doing is, I am printing something like this. 1, 6, 3, 4, 5, 2, 7. This is what I am printing. So this 1 is basically going from 1 to 3, 3 to 5, 5 to 7, and the 6 is going from in decreasing order, 6 to 4, 4 to 2. And if you just take any example, you will see that the prefixes modulo n plus 1 is coming unique for this. And this is how actually I solved this question. So not a complete proof for this, but this is how actually you can actually check whether the particular permutation is working or not by just seeing whether all prefixes modulo n plus 1 is unique or not. Yeah, simply odd numbers in ascending order and even numbers in descending order with odd, even, odd, even, odd, even, odd type pattern. So basically what I'm doing, I'm just printing odds in ascending, evens in descending with this type of thing, odd, starting with odd, with even, odd, even, odd, even, something like this. For every place, all values are like, what if we check for every place, all values 1 to n and checking if that prefix sum can modulo 0 or not. Prefix sum can never be modulo 0. Like if modulo n plus 1, if it turns out to be 0, the answer will be clearly no over there only. But if you take permutation of something like this, it will always work. Yes, I think that should work because that is actually the reverse of the array that we have taken. So that would definitely work. Can we code in big O of n square? I don't think so. Let me just recheck the. So n was given 10 power 3 and t was given as 200. So if you just simply multiply n and t, you will get as 2 multiplied by 10 power 5. And now if you just take an extra n as well, you will get the complexity as 2 into 10 power 8. And I don't think that works. Up till 10 power 8, it should work, but 2 into 10 power 8, I don't think it will work. So I don't think n square will work over it. And you don't need as well. Is the approach clear for everyone and how we should actually approach questions of these type? Like you should always, if you're not getting anything, the best possible scenario is always try to break the question into some cases. And breaking into cases means breaking the value of n into cases. That okay, if the value of n is even or odd, if the value of n is divisible by 4, or when n divided by 4 gives me remainder 1, 0, 2, 3. Try to break these down into these cases and you will always reach to your answer. So saying that, let me move on to the next question. Monil Mehta, for n equals to 4, it should be -1. How you're getting 2, 1, 3, 4? Let me just tell you. If you, let's suppose, have an array 2, 1, 3, 4, and you want that a sum should not be divisible by 5, just take the entire array as a subarray. Tell me what is the sum you are getting. If I'm not wrong, you are getting sum as 10, right? And this 10 is divisible by 5. So this is the first case that we discussed, that if you take the entire array as subarray, then this particular sum will definitely be divisible by n plus 1. And hence you can't, for n equals to even, you can never construct a permutation. Got it? Great. Should we move on to the next one? Just a minute. Yeah. All clear, guys? Okay. So let me start with this one. So the name of the question is connecting walls. I am connecting wells. Sorry. So I am just neglecting this above part. Question starts from here. Okay. So there are n wells. The ith well is located at coordinate xi, yi. There are n channels, one from each well. At time equals to 0, all channels have a length of 0, and the ith channel originates from the ith well, that is xi, yi. Every second, what is happening? Channels extend 1 unit outward from each well in the 4 cardinal directions, that is north, east, south, and west. When two expanding channels from different wells overlap or touch, the wells are considered connected. What you need to do, you need to find the minimum time at which all wells become connected. The constraints, if you look, the value of n is of the order of 2 into 10 power 3. So a solution of n square would definitely work in this question. So let us first understand what the question is, and then we will jump onto the solution. So the question is that you have been given n wells. Basically the coordinates of n wells. So let's suppose one of the well is located over here at coordinate x1, y1. The other well is located over here, x2, y2. The other well is located over here, x3, y3, and this is how you are given the coordinates of the well. And initially you don't have any channels. Now every second, what is happening? There is something happening every second. What it is? The first second, what happens is the wells start extending in cardinal directions by 1 unit. Now, initially, these wells don't have any channel. The channel length is 0. At first second, all of them will extend by 1 in all 4 directions. Okay. Now, what happens the next second? These channels extend more by 1 unit in the cardinal directions. By 1 unit, they are extending more in the cardinal direction. Is this thing clear? What is happening every second? Is this thing clear, guys? What is happening every second? Okay, cool. So if this thing is clear, what the question says next? The question says that let's suppose if any of the two wells, overlap or touch each other, we assume that those two wells are connected. Let's suppose it extends more. So, and it extends more. So do you all agree that this will overlap? If it overlaps, we can say that, okay, if let's suppose this is well number 2 and this is well number 3, then we can definitely say that well 2 and well 3 are connected. Similarly, if let's suppose well 1 and well 2 gets connected, we can say that well 1 and well 2 are connected. And tell me one thing, if well 1 and well 2 are connected, well 2 and well 3 are connected, can I say that well 1 and well 3 is also connected? Can I say this? Yes. If this thing is clear, now the question says you, tell me the minimum time after which all the wells will get connected. Is the problem statement clear? Anyone having any doubt in the problem statement, please tell me right now. Because if you don't understand the statement, the solution will be worse than that. All clear, guys? Problem statement clear? Anyone, any doubt? Okay. Okay. Assuming yes, so let's proceed now. So how we can actually solve this? So I will be quickly asking you 2 to 3 questions. Answer me those questions. After that, the things will become super easy. Question number 1. If I tell you that I have a well over here, let's suppose whose coordinate is 2, 4, and I have another well over here whose coordinate is, let's suppose, 7, 4. Can you guys tell me the time after which well 1 and well 2 will become connected? The time after which, the minimum time, let me modify your question a bit. What's the minimum time after which well 1 and well 2 will get connected? Do every one of you agree that the answer will be 3? And let me say you how. What will happen after 1 second? This will extend till here and this will extend till here. So this is a point 6, 4. This is a point 3, 4. They will extend in other directions as well, but it does not matter to me because this is the shortest possible distance, right? In the second, what will happen? It will go till here, 4, 4, and it will come till here, 5, 4. In the third second, what will happen? It will go over here, and this will come over here, and they will overlap, and hence I can say that in 3 seconds, these two wells will become connected. Do every one of you agree with me in this? So can I say, okay, let me put forward the second question as well. Let me say you that I have well 1, whose coordinate is, let's suppose, 2, 9, and I have well 2, whose coordinate is, let's suppose, 2, 3. Can you guys tell me the time after which, the minimum time after which these two wells will become connected? Do every one of you agree that my answer will be 3? Anyone having any doubt in this that my answer will be 3? No doubt? Cool. Let me put forward the third and the last question. Let's suppose I have a well 1, that has a coordinate of, let's suppose, 2, 6. I have well 2, which has a coordinate of, let's suppose, 1, 3. Can you guys tell me the minimum time after which these two wells will become connected? Okay, I have an answer as 1. Max of both axes. Okay. Can you tell me the answer, Kanishk? 1, okay. 2, okay. 2, okay. 2. Okay. So let us draw what will happen and after the first second, after the second second, and after the third second. Okay. Let us draw the scenario after the first second. So for well 1, I am only considering these two directions, and for well 2, I am only considering these two directions. Okay. Because the other two directions for the other wells does not matter to me as of now. So let's suppose for well 1, after first second, what will happen? It will extend till here, like it was 2. Okay, let me change a bit. Let me make this as 3. Okay. So what will happen for well 1? Do every one of you agree that something like this will happen? Let me redraw the diagram actually. So well 1 is at 2, 6, and well 2 is at 3, 3. Okay. Let us see what will happen after first second. Just say me that do you guys agree with me or not? So these coordinates will be, if I'm not wrong, it will be 3, 6. It will be 2, 5. This will be 2, 3. And this will be 3, 4. So do you guys agree with me that after 1 second, the conditions will look something like this? So now the guys who were saying the answer as 1, so do you guys agree that the answer cannot be 1? The answer cannot be 1. Do you guys agree? Yes? Cool. Now let's see what will happen after the second second. So let me use a different color. Okay. So it will extend till here. So this coordinate will be nothing but 2, 4. This will extend till here. So this coordinate will be nothing but 3, 5. This will extend till here. So this coordinate will be nothing but 4, 6. And this will extend over here. So this coordinate will be nothing but 1, 3. So are they intersecting till now? Are they intersecting? No. So the guys who were saying answer as 2, do you guys agree that the answer can't be 2 as well? Agree? Any doubt? Any doubt, guys? No. It is extending something like this. For this well, it is extending in this direction, this direction, this direction, this direction. So it is not that from this point we can extend. I have just named the points, but there is nothing so-called points in the question. There is only a well, and it is extending the answers in up, left, right, and down. Something like this is happening. Okay, we will come to the answer earlier. Don't worry. Is this thing clear till now that answer can't be 2 as well? Yes? Okay. Let us see what happens the third second. So at the third second, this will come over here. This will go over here, which will be a coordinate of 0, 3. This will go over here, which will be a coordinate of 5, 6. And this will go over here. So can I say that they are connected after third second? Can I say that wells W1 and W2 are connected after the third second? So answer for this, that when well 1 was at coordinate 2, 6 and well 2 was at coordinate 3, 3 is 3. Okay. Is this thing clear to each and every one of you present here? Clear, guys? Any doubt? No? Okay. So let us now derive the formula for this. When I was saying that the x-axis is common, then can I, when I was saying, just a minute here. When I was saying that y-axis is common, that is 2 points lie horizontally, then can I say the answer is nothing but absolute value of x2 minus x1 by 2, its CEL value? Do you guys agree? That when the 2 points were horizontally placed, in that case, the minimum time in which these two wells, W1 and W2 can be connected is nothing but absolute value of x2 minus x1 divided by 2's CEL value. Similarly, when these 2 points were vertically placed, that is, they had the same x-axis, in that case, the answer will be nothing but CEL value of absolute value of y2 minus y1 by 2. Do you guys agree? Yes? And if you agree with me in these two, you will agree with me over here as well, that if the points are not placed horizontally and the points are not placed vertically as well, in that case, the distance or the minimum time after which these wells W1 and W2 will get connected is nothing but maximum of absolute value of x2 minus x1, comma, absolute value of y2 minus y1. Do you guys agree? Yes? If this thing is clear, now the question becomes very clear. Not got the last one. Actually, I ran the example for this Alia, and this was the observation actually. That the time taken is nothing but the maximum of the difference between x coordinates and the difference between the y coordinates. So you can just observe over here when the coordinate was 2,6 and 3,3. So difference between x coordinates was 1 and the difference between y coordinates was 3. And it was taking you 3 seconds to get these two wells connected, which is nothing but the maximum value of the difference between x coordinates and the difference between y coordinates. Why we are calculating the difference? That intuition should be very much clear because we know that every well is approaching towards each other. So calculating difference between the indexes, difference between the coordinate values give us actually how much distance we need to cover. And that's the reason I was calculating the difference. And this was actually the complete observation. And if you just simply run a simple example as well, you will be able to crack this out. That the time taken is nothing but the maximum of difference between the absolute values of x coordinate and the y coordinate. Rishabh, I don't think that will work. You can try out with some examples. I have tried. This is the one that I got. So I don't think that this value is exactly equal to the value that you are mentioning. So I don't think it will work. Okay. Is this thing clear, guys? The things that we discussed till now? Anyone having any doubt till now? No doubt? Okay. So if this thing is clear, now the question is a simple graph question. First of all, let me tell you the question of graph, and then we will come back to this question again. If I tell you that I have a graph, okay, this is a connected graph as of now, and I have some edge weights. I want to construct a tree from this graph. Let's suppose I want to remove some edges such that graph still remains connected. And edge weights are minimized. Have you all heard of anything something like this before? Yeah, this is nothing but the MST of the graph. So this question is actually based on MST, which is nothing but its full form is minimum spanning tree. So basically, if I construct the MST of this graph, so I will get a tree that will say me that all my vertices are connected with minimum edge widths. So if I just simply change this particular question given to me to MST, if I say that every well, if I just assume every well as a node of my graph, if I just assume every well as my node of my graph, and I know the distance between every well as of now, I know the distance between every well, right? If I'm not wrong, I know the distance. What is the distance between every well? By distance, I mean the edge widths. That is the minimum time to connect these two wells. This is something that I already know. So I'm not drawing all the edges, but I know the distance between all the wells as of now. So do you guys agree that if I construct the MST of this graph, and then I take the maximum edge from there, maximum weighted edge from there, then that will be my answer. Let's suppose after constructing the MST, I got something like this. From well 1, I got this as 5 to well 2. And from well 2 to well 3, I got as, let's suppose, 6. And from well 3 to well 4, let's suppose I got as 8. And from well 1 to well 6, I let's suppose got as time as 7. So this was the MST that I got. Then do you guys agree that my answer will be 8? Do you guys agree? Because this is the maximum time that I require, right? To connect any two wells. If I am spending 8 seconds, then these two wells will also be connected. These two wells will also be connected. These two wells will also be connected. And these two wells will also be connected. And saying that every other well will be connected to every other well. Because this is the MST. So if I am forming a tree, if well 3 is connected to well 5 and well 3 is connected to well 2, then we can also say that well 2 is also connected to well 5. So if I construct the MST of the graph and take the maximum weighted age from there, then do you guys agree that that will be my answer? So the simple question was that assume the wells as a node of the graph, calculate the weight of the age between them, and once you are done with that, construct an MST, and from MST take the maximum weighted edge, and that will be my answer. So for constructing MST, you can use multiple algorithms. You have Kruskal, you have Prem's algorithm, any algorithm that you prefer, you can use that and solve the question. Binary search on time, then check all pairs and using TSU to check if it all wells are connected in N square. Yes, you can. Yes, you can, Kanishk. Nice idea. You can. So there is an idea that you want to use a binary search on time. And with the help of DSU, he wants to check that whether all the wells are connected or not. So, okay, yes, you can do that. You can clearly do that. Yes. I thought of MST, but yeah, DSU and BS definitely works. Okay. So is the MST approach clear as well, Kanishk? Like, and everyone present here? Does it make sense? So for MST, I personally used Kruskal algorithm. So I am just explaining this algorithm in brief. So what we do in Kruskal algorithm is, we first of all sort all the edges on the basis of their weights. We start with the lowest weighted edge. After doing that, if we see that if this edge has two vertices, let's suppose V1 and V2, we simply check that whether these two vertices are already connected or not. So for checking that, we simply use DSU. If they have the same leader or the same parent, then we say that, okay, they are already connected. We are not going to use this edge. If they are not connected, we will connect them using this particular edge. And once you're done with this, so you will be successful in constructing the MST. And from that, you can easily get the maximum weighted edge. So let me jump on to the solution for this. So this is the solution. So first of all, I took the value n as input, then the vector v as input. Then I took the first value and the second value of the pair as input. Then this adjacency is actually not required. So you can skip this line. Okay. Then I constructed the edges. So edges will be of form weight, comma, two vertices. So for that reason, I took pair of int, comma, pair of int, comma, int. That is weight, comma, vertex 1, vertex 2. Then I simply went over all the possible pairs of wells. So for int I equals to 0, I less than and I plus plus, j equals to I plus 1, j less than and j plus plus. Calculated the vertical distance between them, calculated the horizontal distance between them. If let's suppose vertical distance is 0, so in my edges, I am simply pushing back. I am just simply saying that, okay, I have an edge between I and j, and the weight of this edge is seal value of horizontal by 2. So you guys should be clear with this, that the seal value of a by b, you can always write it as a plus b minus 1 by b. So this is seal value of a by b. So over here, I wanted to calculate seal value of a by 2. So I am simply doing a plus 2 minus 1 by 2, which is basically a plus 1 by 2. So I wanted to calculate seal value of this horizontal value by 2. So in my edges, my weight will be horizontal plus 1 by 2. And this particular edge is between vertex I and vertex J. Similarly, if the horizontal value is 0, then in my edges, I am simply pushing back vertical plus 1 by 2. And the edge is between I and J. If both are not 0, I am simply taking maximum of these horizontal and vertical distances. And in my edges, I am simply pushing back this weight as temp and the edges between I and J. Is this part of code clear for everyone? How I am constructing the edges? Is this clear for everyone? Yes? Okay. Then what I am doing is I am shorting all the edges and I handled the case of n equals to 1 separately. If n is equal to 1, they are already connected. So I am simply printing 0. I constructed this vector answer, but this is somewhat not needed. Your answer will basically be the last edge that you are using. But I just used this answer while I was coding, so I will explain with this only. This answer vector basically contains the weights of all the edges that you are using. Okay. So then I constructed a DSU that has a constructor that basically takes the number of nodes as input. So you can use any DSU code, you can take it online or you can code it by yourself as well. So I already had this as my template. So I simply used this. This has a constructor n and basically does all the things of DSU. For merging, I have a merge function. And for getting a leader by doing path compression, I have a get leader function. So I constructed a DSU. Now I'm traversing over all the edges. The weight between the edges is nothing but stored in the first value of this pair IT. The node 1 is nothing but the first value of the second value of pair. So id.second.first. And the second node is nothing but it.second.second. So between node 1 and node 2, I have an edge that have a weight of this particular variable distance. Okay. So if what I will check that whether these node 1 and node 2 are already connected or not. Now, if d.getLeader node 1 is not equal to d.getLeader node 2, this means that node 1 and node 2 is not connected as of now. So what I will do, I will first of all connect them. And in my answer vector, since I am using this edge, I will push back this particular weight. At the end, you can just ignore this line. This was only for n equals to 1 case. So I already handled that before. So you can just ignore this set of lines. So at the end, my answer will be nothing but the maximum edge width that I'm using, which will be basically the last value of this answer vector. So while coding, I simply wrote down the maximum element of this answer vector. And this is how I actually coded this down. Any doubt in the code, guys? So this is basically a simple Kruskal's algorithm. And yeah, this is how it works. Any doubt, guys, in any of the questions that we discussed? No? All clear? Okay. Then thank you for joining.